almost a decade, Socom has redefined the meaning of teamwork in a third-person shooter. For Socom 4, Zipper Interactive have beefed up the squad-based scenarios with a compelling single-player narrative, a slew of multiplayer options, and the most immersive 3D shooter experience on the PS3. Oh, and did we mention the explosions? From the Navy SEAL-inspired teamwork to the environment itself, Socom 4 is emphasizing authenticity above all else.
The first Socom was actually the first entertainment product ever developed in cooperation with the U.S. Navy. So over the years, we've done a number of events with them. We've also leveraged former U.S. Navy SEALs for some of the motion capture to make sure that we get all the moves in the game as authentic as possible.
We did a lot of visual reference research before we even started doing any of the level design. We searched through like all sorts of places from Southeast Asia, from jungle to what the urban areas look like, little nuances that you see that are kind of unique.
What do you think is going to stand out the most to hardcore Socom fans that's different about the levels here than other Socom games?
I think just the visual fidelity of the actual levels. It just looks absolutely fantastic, especially with our lighting engine and with the particle effects that we have.
Unlike 2008's online-only Socom Confrontation, Socom 4 features a strong cast and a campaign with a rich story. Violent revolution has just erupted, and you're the operations commander leading a NATO peacekeeping force in this lush tropical paradise.
This was exciting for us to focus on a main character for telling the narrative in Socom 4 because that's not something we've ever really done in the Socom franchise.
The fleet doesn't exist. All we have is a crippled carrier and a handful of planes.
Guerrilla forces of Naga actually decimate the NATO peacekeeping forces there. The kind of weaponry and technology they have is a lot more advanced than anyone was expecting.
You have just 6 days to quell the chaos and prevent global catastrophe. No biggie.
This is NATO Operations Commander. What's your status?
Although you'll be completely outnumbered and outgunned, your special ops team has a plan. Broken into teams of 2, you'll be able to assign them to different positions and enemy targets to take out, with the blue team optimized for mid to close range assault and gold team for long range sniper fire. You'll have a variety of weapons at your disposal. More experiences and kills with your cash comes more chances to level up or mod your favorite fire-in toys.
Each mod brings some sort of unique modification or attachment that makes the gun better. So in the case of an assault rifle, you might get a better optics system, extended magazine, underbarrel grenade launcher. Each gun has a unique progression path.
Let's see if you're as good as you say you are.
When the situation calls for a more subtle approach, players switch over to South Korean Super Agent 45.
The covert action missions are definitely ones that change up the gameplay. You actually play as 45, and she has to work her way behind enemy lines to get to the objective.
How you get in on said action is up to you. Choose whether to use a standard DualShock controller, PlayStation Move, or this badass baby, the Move-enabled Sharpshooter.
We wanted to make sure from day one with the Sharpshooter that we weren't just taking our Move implementation and just copying and pasting it over. We wanted to design the Sharpshooter support from the ground up to work best with holding the weapon.
Upping the immersion in S4 is an unparalleled 3D experience.
Socom itself presents interesting opportunities for 3D because we're a third-person game, and we can do some unique things in terms of making the character pop out a little bit more. In Socom 4, when you play with 3D, you're actually playing at full performance. That's full resolution and full frame rate.
It wouldn't be Socom without intense multiplayer action, and Socom 4 doesn't disappoint. Choose from 4 multiplayer game types: Suppression, which is basically a team deathmatch, Last Defense, which pits your team against the enemies for control of key points and unlock an airstrike on an enemy base, Bomb Squad, where you guide your bomb diffuser into Tango territory, and Uplink, Socom's version of Capture the Flag. Just replace flag with intel and add bullets.
The thing in common with all these modes is really the need for teams to collaborate, work together, communicate, and watch each other's backs.
Which you'll have to do in any of the 3 play modes: Standard, Classic, or Custom.
Well, Classic mode, first and foremost, is we turn off respawn. We actually crank up the movement speed a little bit. The older Socoms actually were a little bit faster. And then we also turn off health regeneration. Then we have a third called Custom. And these are where we have a little bit of fun mixing and matching different settings. These can be weapon restrictions. Maybe you want to do something that only shotguns. We can turn up or turn down the movement speeds, the amount of damage you take, whether you have respawn, health regeneration, the length of the game. Something unique we're doing with these custom modes is we're actually working with the community to get feedback on what kinds of custom options they would like to see. Because a lot of our hardcore fans really want to play ranked games with some of these wacky settings.
In S4's 5-player co-op, customizing a campaign is king. Pick your map, game type, how many enemies you want to face, and level of difficulty.
If you want your custom campaign to have like a sense of progression to it, you can have the first missions be on a lower difficulty with less guys, and then build a finale for yourself in the final mission with a high number of enemies and a really hard difficulty level. In order to counter that, the players are going to need to go in with their own squad mentality. And we definitely wanted to make sure that we had sort of that team cohesion going on in the co-op gameplay. AI locations, AI tactics, and objective locations are randomized every time you select a mission. So you can play the same mission 2 times in a row. It's still going to feel different because of these randomized elements. Well, say you come up on an encounter and there's some snipers up in the hills. Next time you play that encounter, there might be a completely different set of AI guys there.
I think our co-op mode is fantastic, and I think a lot of the hardcore fans are actually really going to love just how challenging and intense the online co-op is.
Whether you're clutching a controller or aiming a sharpshooter, Socom 4 is authentic enough that couch potatoes will feel the heat of the front lines. So oil those sniper rifles and grab your 3D glasses. You're on the mission.